You are watching Stripped Down Live, Saskatchewan's only 1 hour award-winning show that brings the music to you in the comfort of your own living room. I'm Curtis Anderson, and I've been saying that for 13 seasons now because this is season 13, episode 1, and helping us kick it off, it's Dillon Currie.
In my town, no one ever disagrees. In my town, no one ever questions your beliefs. And in my town, no one ever locks the doors. In my town, no one ever questions anything. In my town, everything is beautiful. In my town, no one ever feels like they're alone. And in my town, no one even locks the doors. In my town, everything that's mine is also yours. It's so perfectly beautiful. Nothing changes and no one knows any different. Well, I suppose it seems like I'm living in a dream. Everything is beautiful. Everything is beautiful. It's so perfectly beautiful. Nothing changes and no one knows any different. Well, I suppose it seems I'm living in a dream. Ooh, 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 I'm living in a dream. Are we living in a dream?
This is the first episode of the 13th season of Stripped Down Live, and returning after almost a decade to the day. It's Dillon Currie. You were here December 1st, 2013 with not League of Wolves, with Shoeless Joes.
Wow.
That's a deep
That's
cut.
the OG.
That was
Yeah.
kind of, we were wrapping up the show at that time. We took a hiatus from early 2014 and then came back in 2018. So you were one of the last full bands
Yeah. That's
to play
wild.
Stripped Down. What was it like pulling them back into the parking lot? Because I'm guessing you haven't been here in the
Yeah.
last 10 years.
I
So you
haven't.
pulled back up. You're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I was lost at first, and I drove by the entrance, and then but as soon as I pulled in around the corner, yeah, flashback.
Thanks for coming back.
Yeah.
Thanks for kicking off season 13. You'll notice the show is a little different now. We're back
Yep.
to solos and duos, kind of the way I originally envisioned the show. We kind of had to burn it down and build it from
Build it back
scratch
up,
again.
yeah.
So we will be talking about Vines of Time all night. We'll be hearing music from Vines of Time.
That's
and
right.
the creationary process behind it, which I'm guessing had something to do with COVID and the COVID times. We'll get into all of that. But where do we start? You want to start with Shoeless Joe's?
Sure.
You want to go back? Full
Jeez.
band?
That's a long ways back. Yeah, 2013. We were new to the city.
You were new to the city,
Yeah.
but I felt like Shoeless Joe's really, like, I'm not just saying that because you're here. There's this new band, and suddenly you were kind of playing at the level of the like Saskatoon established bands. You were playing all the bars, and it's a pretty serious gigs.
Well, we
out
spent
the
a lot of
gates.
time at the bars right off
Yeah.
out of the gates. You know, we were out all the time, hitting every show we could. All small town kids, new to the city, you know. So we tried to take in as much as we could, and yeah, it was just such a fun time when I think back to it. We played as much as we possibly could, every open stage, and yeah, we were pretty pumped to get on Stripped Down that year. I'll tell you that.
The year of full bands,
Mm-hmm.
back when we had full drums, and it was a challenge. It was a much bigger challenge than it is now. I enjoy the one-on-one conversations more.
Yeah.
Again, this was the original vision of Stripped Down Live.
That's fair.
Shoeless Joe ceased to exist and became the League of Wolves.
Yeah.
Could we legally talk about that?
Yeah.
Were you issued like a cease and desist as the franchise moved into Saskatoon, or?
We weren't, but we figured it would be a matter of time, so we were proactive.
Okay.
Yeah, and we switched, so 2013, I think we changed the name. Like,
Must have been
it
right after you done the
right
show.
afterwards.
There wasn't a lot of 2013 left.
No, it must
December
have been
1st,
a Christmas
gift.
gift.
You became the League of Wolves.
Yeah, and so it's funny to go back and watch the Stripped Down set because I haven't heard a lot of those songs for a long time.
Really? They're not in rotation
There's
anymore.
a few. There's maybe
'Kay.
one or two that still get played with League of Wolves, but
I'll be honest, every time I drive by Shoeless Joe's in Stonebridge, I kind of giggle to myself. Because I'm
Yeah.
like, that's the band
Well,
that was on Stripped Down. And then I'm like,
Yeah.
I was curious if there was a cease and desist, and if there was, I thought like a great thing you could have done would have been like an open challenge, like a best of 3. We both write a song, which I think you guys probably would have won. And then maybe like you both cook some apps, and you know I probably got to give it to
Oh.
Shoeless Joe, the
Billy Madison
restaurant,
style.
right? And then I don't know, for the tiebreaker, like I don't know, like skeet or I don't know, a foot race.
Yeah.
And the winner gets to be the Shoeless Joe's, right?
I like it.
That would have
Yeah.
been great. But so I was asking you that to ask you this: what's a secret talent in the band where like you could have pulled that out? You could have sharked the Shoeless Joe's for the name.
Ooh.
What's some,
Collectively?
or just like someone really good at something that's like your
Well,
ace in the hole.
We all had our unique talents. The Beveridge brothers, excellent football players.
Whoa,
You know, Aspen was a Husky.
I did not know
And
that.
Grieg was gonna be a Husky, but he got injured.
So you could have played a
so-
little 3-on-3.
Yeah, Ethan and I at the time, I don't know. We were good at football, but not quite the build you need to be successful.
So what you're saying is
If it was
you
hockey-
probably
hockey,
could have
Ethan
beat
and
the
I.
franchise in a
Some sort of
football
sport,
game. Okay,
yeah.
that was. I'm glad I got that question out of the way because I
Yeah.
thought of that this morning. I'm like, man, that's going to be my opener. Tell me about Vines of Time.
Yeah, so Vines of Time. Pretty much day one of the lockdown, I started writing for this. I had a feeling like I wasn't going to see the band for quite a while, so kind of didn't really have an excuse not to write a solo record now, you know. So, and I'd always wanted to, and that's kind of what I did during the lockdown. I went back to kind of educating myself on songwriting, and this is just kind of a collection of what happened, and ended up being almost like a bit of a concept, sort of a concept record, which I didn't expect, but I went pretty deep into the songwriting thing, and yeah, I kind of learned a lot about myself in the process and how I write songs on my own, because it's something I'd never done before, really.
Can't wait to dig into
Yeah.
it. The first song off the top,
Yeah, that was the first track on the record, in My Town.
My Town. What's
Yeah.
My Town about?
So it's kind of this utopian, kind of naive, childlike view of your hometown. It was just inspired by growing up in this little place that you thought was perfect, and then slowly starting to realize that maybe that's not exactly true.
Nice.
Right.
Well, speaking of utopian and childlike, let's throw it over to this week's social media correspondent. I kid. He saved our butts this week. Ladies and gentlemen, filling in for Bryn Kreisa, the wonderful Ryan Flaherty. Ryan, thank you so much on behalf of Strip Down. Bryn Kreisa was all pumped to come. She fell ill. And who do you call when the chips are down? Who do you call that will drop everything at the last minute? I'm serious. This isn't a sarcastic thing. I was like, who will actually come and do a good job and be awesome? And I was like, probably the guy that, I don't know, we've called live wrestling together. I'm your camera guy on the sidelines of Husky football. I see you at Rattlers all the time. There's only one guy. It's Ryan Flaherty. Thank you so much, sir.
Hey, I do feel like a bit of an interloper, especially the first episode of the season. Like, I feel like I shouldn't be here, like that really is Bryn's station, right? So I just want to do it, do her proud. Right?
There are so many connecting threads, though. You're wearing a Girls Rock t-shirt.
Well, that was an intentional choice.
Okay, because Bryn's all about Girls Rock.
Got to rep the local music.
Yeah, but Bryn is a huge wheel in Girls Rock. Right. And another thing, I posted the picture today. It was actually a video of you doing an interview on the sidelines with the fireworks behind you at last Friday's Husky game that I was the camera for. And I said, I promised there would be fireworks. And then completely unrelated, I brought this shirt.
I don't know. I don't know if that's unrelated.
It was honestly unrelated. I was going to save this shirt for my next Disney trip. But Dean was like, you got to wear it. You promised fireworks tonight, so...
Well, yeah, and I didn't want to let anyone down, so I'm glad you brought the fireworks to make sure that you could deliver on that promise. So, yeah,
Thank you, Ryan.
Happy to be here.
So ask Dylan a question, leave a comment, Ryan will read it, and we're giving away a $25 Earl's gift card. So keep them busy tonight. Let's kick off the season right. It's season 13, which is pretty unlucky, but I thought, is that still a thing, superstition? Do they have 13 floors in hotels now?
You know what? I've seen a couple of 13 floors lately.
I
think the newer hotels.
We're learning. We're building.
Yeah, they're only a little stitious, right?
All right. Before we get to song number 2, we got to pay our respects to the people that keep us on the air. Of course, I'm talking about our title sponsor. It's Earl's Saskatoon. They know what's up. They're continuing their commitment to local music here in Saskatoon and Saskatchewan. And also, their pumpkin pie is back.
All right.
Pumpkin pie is back at Earl's just in time for October. Moving on, we got Vern's Pizza. They also got a monthly special. Right now, it's the back-to-school special. It makes sense. It's go support Vern's. Delicious pizza. They feed the crew after each show, so big shout out to Vern's. And of course, the Hairstyle Inn, our good friends at Circle Center and Lawson Heights Mall, making Bryn and I look great. I might be able to get you in for one night. We'll run there right after Ryan. I'll see if I can get you a haircut. And E-West Music. Those are the people that support us, so go support them. And before our first commercial break, Dillon Currie, where are we going next? Where is song 2?
We're going to play Old Keys next.
Old Keys?
Which is, it's about some true near-death experiences, and some of them that happened here in Saskatoon during the old Shoeless Joe's days, probably.
Shoeless Joe's days. You want to expand on that a little bit? The thing we should listen for?
Yeah, so this song is, it's about my keychain I was looking at, and I realized there's way too many keys on it. And I looked a little closer. Someone was making fun of me about that.
Yeah, after about 5 or 6, you're a janitor.
And then I realized I didn't know what half the keys did. And then I realized there's like keys from our old house in Saskatoon, or there's keys from this truck I crashed that's, gone. And it's like, why do I hold on to these things? And I started thinking about how I'm connecting all these near-death experiences to these keys. So I thought that was interesting.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, Dillon Currie.
Stumble home, oh what a night. Stupid drunk, silly fight, just for fun, like we do. You push me, so I push you. You crack your head upon that wall. Cue concussion protocol. Cabbed it to the hospital. Lied and said you'd had a fall. And holding on to these old keys that don't unlock a goddamn thing. Memories, I keep them on me, hanging on a ring, so I remember everything. everything. Driving home, oh what a year. Out of nowhere, hit a deer. Heavy smoke, airbags off. Total truck in total shock. Someone dragged it off the road, picked you up, got you home. 5 a.m. No one knows where you've been or where you'll go. Holding on to these old keys that don't unlock the goddamn thing. The memories, I keep them on me, hanging on a ring. So I remember everything. I remember everything. Coming home to say goodbye, playing Cohen's Blaze of Light. Thought that he'd want closing time or so long, Marianne, but fine. You run to grab the lyric page from the car before you play, and in your ear or in your brain you swear you hear him call your name. Holding on to these old keys that don't unlock a goddamn thing. But memories, I keep them on me, hanging on a ring. So I remember everything. I remember everything. I remember everything. I remember everything.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dillon Currie.
It's funny how a little bit of paper and a tan gives a free pass to the man that everybody wants to be. And it's funny how a little piece of everybody's heart gets entangled in the darkness and devoured by the white lies. Is it really such a crime? Out of sight and out of mind is what he tells the guys when he goes out all night, chasing girls in long white blinds. It's funny how a little slip of memory betrays all those things he got away with and the things that we let slide. And it's funny how he never stopped to calculate the risk of defining life with myth, defining life with white lies. Is it really such a crime? Well, maybe we should ask his wife, whose makeup doesn't hide the bruises on her eye. I wonder what she did this time. to look the other way sometimes, to let him go and drive. He does it all the time. I'm sure that they will get home fine.
Dillon Currie helping us kick off our 13th season of Stripped Down Live. Loved the song before the break. Loved the song about the keys. It was awesome.
Thanks.
And this last song was called
White Lies.
And White Lies is about?
It's kind of about privilege and about accountability, about kind of things. It's a reflective song about, you know, letting people get away with things that maybe you shouldn't, and where that line is of who's responsible for what happens when you don't hold them accountable.
So this is, I don't want to sound, no, I'm just going to say it. This sounds like a little deeper songwriting than what was happening at Shoeless Joe's and League of Wolves. Is that correct?
Yeah, dove a little deeper.
Dove a little deeper?
This, definitely a different genre, different style.
Different vibe.
I was really interested in narrative songwriting and, you know, adding some fiction into things too. And so that's what I wanted to focus on, with stories. And that's something with, you know, a straightforward rock band, it's sometimes tough to fit a complete story in. It's a little bit.
You just want that hook.
You want the hook, right?
Fair
Which
enough.
I love that too.
Yeah.
There's not to say one type of songwriting is better than the other, but it's just, it's kind of like an itch I really just needed to scratch and give a try at. And you're a writer, so you understand. I would think.
You know, I hate bringing this up every episode, but it's always relevant. It's like when COVID lockdowns hit, people went one of two ways. They did nothing, or they got super deep into like whatever solo creative endeavor they could manage. So, looking back, was that you made, you know, what's the saying? Lemonade out of lemons?
Totally. Yeah, like that's, like I said, it was day one of the pandemic. I just was like, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
This is going to be my project for however long this is going to be.
You're like, I got 2 weeks to hammer this out.
Yeah, you know, this record's a lot about mortality and legacy and reflecting, just because of the times. I don't think it's necessarily a pandemic record, because the songs aren't about that, but it doesn't happen without the pandemic, and that time we kind of had to reflect on the past and the present and the future. So that's kind of what I guess the theme of the record is, exploring those things and trying to find hope in all of that.
Nice, beautiful. Speaking of beautiful, we have some action on the old socials. So we're going to throw it back over to this week's guest social media correspondent, the lovely Ryan Flaherty. Ryan, what's going on out there?
Yeah, no questions yet, but definitely some folks are liking what they're hearing. Drake says that he really likes the ideas, like your songwriting inspiration. He said your ideas are absolutely crazy, so crazy it's actually great. So it comes back around, right? So that's from Drake. And Julian actually, Curtis apparently knows you're a wrestling fan. He says your clipboard is reminiscent of the steps up to the ring. So not a music comment, but still someone who's watching and clearly detail-oriented. So
this is thanks to Jay Neufeld. He brings it for me every single episode, and it's like, it's heavy duty. It's how I work out my arms, is just carrying this thing around. 'Cause this has got to be like 5 pounds, and I love it.
And we do actually have a question just came in now.
All right.
So I can throw that at your way too. The question from Dean was, how has your songwriting changed since the last time that you were here?
Oh,
Ooh,
good
great
grief.
question. One of mine. I was about to ask that.
Good question indeed. So for this record, it's the first time I really wrote all the songs completely on my own, you know, including music, including the arrangement. In the past, when we were on here 10 years ago, the main songwriter was Aspen Beveridge. You know,
I did not know that.
Yeah, he was.
Wow.
We would work together a little bit on lyrics and kind of swap verses and things like that. But he was kind of our leader, really, in respects to songwriting, and he still is with League of Wolves today. But that was a very collaborative thing that got more collaborative over time. And then when this happened with this record, it was the complete opposite. It was, I'm going to just do this all on my own and see how it goes and find out a bit about myself and how I write songs when it's just me. So there's a huge difference, and I enjoy both styles a lot, because when you're collaborating, there's ideas that come up that you would never come up with on your own. But also, I think this was something I needed to do just for myself, was to write some of my own songs too and find out what that looks like. And I actually ended up recording this whole record with Aspen. He mixed and he produced it all. So in the studio, we got to collaborate on a lot of the production side of things, which is
I was about to ask how a band feels when the lead singer is going to do a solo project. And apparently, not even a thing in League of Wolves. It sounds like they're pretty supportive of this.
Yeah, well, given the circumstances, it was really
It's
all
fair.
we could do, right?
Yeah.
So, like Lead Hansen did a solo record too, right, during this time, and Aspen's probably got 10 solo records in the bank. He just never releases them. So yeah, we're good about that.
We want to get, what, eight songs in?
Sure.
So let's, we're right where we should be on time, but I want to make sure we get all 8 in. So before our second commercial break, what song is next? Give it a proper introduction.
Yeah, okay, for this one, I think I'm going to play, I think this is the most important song on the
Okay.
record. It's called In the Wild. And just a content warning, it's regarding residential schools. So this was very important to me as a father of 2 young kids, and given the situation that's happened in our country over the last, century and more. This was just an important song for me to write, and so it's called In the Wild.
Dillon Currie.
Attention class, it's time for school. Listen closely, we've got so much work to do out here in the wild, out here in the wild. First we'll cut your hair and then we'll change your clothes. Then we'll make you use a language no one knows out here in the wild. Out here in the wild, we take these kids and teach them how only God can save them now. Then you'll need to work and you'll need to pray to some God you've never heard of till today. Out here in the wild, out here in the wild. And once you've learned a thing or two, in the evening he'll begin to pray on you. Out here in the wild, out here in the wild, out here in the wild. We take these kids and teach them how only God can save them now. Only God can save you now. Only God can save you now. Take a bow. You're on your own now. And though these children all have names, they'll be buried in a field of unmarked graves out here in the wild, out here in the wild, out here in the wild.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dillon Currie.
Marianne, do you believe that there's a place we go when all of this is through? 'Cause Marianne, you know that I am not a man of faith, but I would follow you. 'Cause Marianne, I don't want you to go, Marianne. Marianne, I don't mind being wrong as long as you're right. I don't mind being wrong as long as you're right. By my side tonight, by my side tonight, by my side tonight. Cause Marianne, I don't want you to go, Marianne. Ooh, I don't mind being wrong as long as you're right. And I don't mind being wrong as long as you're right. I don't mind being wrong as long as you're right. And I don't mind being wrong as long as you're right. By my side tonight, by my side tonight, by my side tonight.
I'm gonna feel real dumb if I get this wrong. Was that track 7, Marianne? I'm sorry.
That's actually track 2. It's the other one.
Oh, there's a Marianne by my side. I totally missed that.
There's 2, yeah.
2 Mariannes.
Yeah.
Okay. 2 songs about Marianne.
Yeah. So feels
Explain.
like you have a question.
Well, that is my question.
Yeah.
2 songs about. I guess the inflection wasn't there. 2 songs about Marianne.
Yeah. So I wrote these 2 songs as kind of, I guess, a tandem, almost as an idea of doing a A-side, B-side type of thing, you know. But I wanted it to be, the whole theme of the record, it deals with time, obviously, right? I wanted it to be uncertain about which song actually came first and which came last. And so they're very they're very A-side, B-side. One's more of a, seems like a love song, and the other one is kind of a dark kind of tragedy, a bit of a dark story. And so, yeah, it's kind of a mysterious little combo that I wanted to add in. And I remember my mom's like, "Who's Marianne?" And I was like, nobody, actually. It's, you know, someone I made up, but I'm pretty sure Marianne's informed by a lot of people, you know.
There is a Marianne out there that's like, damn,
Sorry, Marianne.
2 songs about me.
Yeah.
I really wanted to like this. Awesome for physical media, though. And I know I'm dating myself, but I still love physical media.
Me too.
I
Yeah.
love, and it's it had the very much the like part 1, part 2
Yeah.
vibe to it,
And
which
that's
is such of our time.
That's what I really wanted to
Right?
do, is make a record, you know, like an actual album that's meant to be listened to in a certain order. And I'm really excited. I have this coming out on vinyl here.
Really?
I should have them in my hands by the end of the month. So that's just something I always wanted to do.
Right.
And so there's 5 tracks on the first side and then 5 tracks on the back side. And you'll kind of notice the naming of the tracks kind of are in a bit of a pattern in sort of 5s. So
Okay.
I had so much fun, you know, figuring that out and arranging the record and trying to make some sort of cohesive narrative out
And
of
isn't that what it's about? And
Yeah.
I'm not like a songwriter but there's a certain
Yeah.
continuity as a creator that
Yeah.
even if no one but you understands, it's so worth it.
And that's-
it's so
yeah.
rewarding.
That's what I tell people about this record. In the end, I made it for me, right?
Right.
And so,
You know you're going to be playing some bar to like 10 people sometime, and
Yeah.
someone's going to come up after and go, I really liked like the flow of the album, and you're just going to be like,
thank you.
you're the one.
You're
You're
the
the
one.
one. This album is totally worth it
Somebody
because one
got it.
person, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not being facetious. That's,
No.
you know,
I hope so. Yeah.
biggest takeaway from this album. I mean, obviously it was a very like methodical, introspective process. But now that it's
Yeah.
all said and done and it's coming out, you're playing shows, you're having a release party, or has it happened?
Yeah.
It's coming up?
We're going to do 2 album release shows, one down in southwest Sask where I live, in a beautiful place called the Bethany. It's a church-turned venue in a little town called Hazlet. So for sort of that southwest corner of the province, that'll be for that. It'll be a really neat, intimate show. And Kiefer McLean from Regina is going to come join us for that. And then the next night, October 7th, we'll be at the Capitol Music Club. And that's going to be a bigger bill, obviously a bigger room, probably a bit of a bigger party. So I'm hoping people can show up to that. And yeah.
I asked you 2 questions there before we get to our next song and our final commercial break. What's your biggest takeaway from this when you look back at it now?
My biggest takeaway, I think I learned a lot about myself in the process, which is what I wanted to do. I realized that I can write a record. I can write stories. That's something I'd never tried before, right? And so I'm just something I'm really proud of doing, and I can't wait to do the next one already. You know, it's something I want to keep pursuing, whether people listen to it or not. I just enjoyed it so much, and so yeah, I learned that I do like this kind of songwriting.
Awesome. Well, I promised you 8 songs tonight, so we're going to jump into song number 6 before our final commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk to Ryan again. So keep asking questions, keep making comments. You can win a $25 gift card from Earl's. But ladies and gentlemen, it's Dillon Currie.
All right. All of the practice for all of the shows, all of the new songs and nobody knows. All of the hard work is gonna pay off. All of the people stand and applaud when you're higher than the mountains, when you're higher than the clouds. All of the money, all of the fame, all of a sudden, well, all of it came. All of the people surround you and say, All of this time, man, we knew that someday you'd be higher than the mountains. You'd be higher than the clouds. Higher than the mountains. Higher than the clouds. Higher than the mountains. Never looking down. All of the late nights all over the world, all of the parties and all of the girls, all of your friends start looking the other way. All of them are happy as long as you stay. Higher than the mountains, higher than the clouds. Higher than the mountains, never looking down. All of the hard work gets washed down the drain by all of the hard drugs and all of the pain. All of the people that thought you were great, all of them slowly start fading away. And you're higher than the mountains, you're higher than the clouds.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Dillon Currie.
Pass me in the street, but never will our eyes meet. Never will you greet me with a smiling face, saying, how have you been? Stretching out my hand for $1 or a friend or a reason to stand up on my feet again. Oh, how have you been living? Wake up, brother, it's cold out here. Can you hear me knocking? Hear me, won't you let me come in? Wake up, brother, it's cold out here. Can you see me, see me? Or am I just a ghost in the wind? Just another face in a lonely crowded place, fighting for a space, fighting for a reason to say that life has been good. I see people every day trying to make it to these places that they hate, always in a hurry, always running late, dying to make a living. Wake up, brother, it's cold out here. Can you hear me knocking? Hear me, won't you let me come in? Wake up, brother, it's cold out here. Can you see me, see me? Oh, am I just a ghost in the wind? Pass me in the street. You'll never know my name. Pass me in the street. Our eyes will never brother, it's cold out here. Can you see me knocking? Hear me? Won't you let me come in? Wake up, brother, it's cold out here. Can you see me? See me? Or am I just a ghost in the wind?
We are kicking off our 13th season with Dillon Currie of League of Wolves with the solo album out, Vines of Time. Is it available now?
It's available digitally, yeah, everywhere.
And then these
And CDs as well are available now.
records coming?
And records should be by the end of the month. So,
All right.
Yeah.
I'm very nervous we're going to run out of time. So
Yeah.
let's throw it over to our guest social media correspondent, Ryan Flaherty. We got a couple more comments, a question, and we got to give away $25 to Earls.
Some business to do for sure. Yeah, the through line on the comments is the word beautiful is included almost every single one of them. Some love for Higher Than the Clouds. And praise for your songwriting talent. There's a comment earlier after Into the Wild also calling that tragically beautiful, so I wanted to make sure I shared that with you as well. Question coming in is that if you could write a song with any musician past or present, who would you like to collaborate with?
Ooh, wow. My all-time favorite musician is Elliott Smith, and a big influence on how...
I thought you were going to say Aspen.
Well, I do that all the time.
Joking.
Gratefully, it's my number 2 probably. But yeah, it would probably be Elliott Smith. Aspen's number 2. So I'm living my dream.
Can we squeeze in on one last quick question? Because I had a second question here as well,
Sure.
if we have time, and it was just which song on your new album has had the biggest impact on you?
In the Wild, for sure.
Yeah.
That one took a year to write, and I made sure I had to get it right. So that's an important one for me.
And we wanted to get that question in because that's from Drake, who's going to be our Earl's gift card recipient for this
All right.
episode. So Drake, shoot us a note with your contact,
Nice.
and we'll hook you up.
Congrats, Drake. You needed to give a couple shout-outs as well, too.
Yeah, I need to thank Creative Saskatchewan and Factor Canada for providing funding through the Sound Recording Grant and the Artist Development Grant, which made this possible.
Made this baby happen.
Yep. So
All right. This is
thank
kind of
you.
like your COVID baby, hey?
It really is.
Right?
Yep. I actually had a COVID baby as
Whoa!
well. But
You had 2 COVID
I had
babies.
2.
You were busy. You had a lot of time
My
on your
wife
hands.
did anyways.
I have one more story for you, but before that, I want to get through the sponsors. So really quickly, got to give a shout out to our title sponsor, Earls Saskatoon, continuing their support of local music. Then, of course, the good people at Vern's Pizza with their current back-to-school special. You should check out Hairstyle and keeping me looking as beautiful as possible, which is like 4 out of 10 at best. And E-West Music. Support the people that support us. And oh yeah, go try the Earls pumpkin pie. It's back. Ryan, Dylan, it has been a fun night, but I got a story for you real quick.
Okay.
I thought of this today, and I was like, whoa, okay. People who know me, I always say, oh, that's a sign on stuff, and I'm kind of joking, but at the same time, there's a lot of times where I'm like, no, I'm not joking. That actually was a sign. You were on the show December of 2013. Mm-hmm. We walked away from this show March 2014. Lots of things going on, but we had to kill the show for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then a couple years later, I don't know why, I was just having a day. I was having a really good day, and I was like, man, I wonder what bringing Strip Down back would look like. And then that night, we were at it was like a One Bad Sun thing at the.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that? It was at like Lucky Bastard
Yeah,
or
I
something.
remember that,
And
yeah.
we don't hang out, but I ran into you.
Yeah.
And out of the blue, you were just like, man, it was so fun. I loved that show. Thank you for having us on like 2 years ago. And I was like, it's a sign. I got to bring it back.
Bring it back.
That was like one of the first I got to bring back Strip Down signs. And we had a moment. We were
Yeah,
chatting.
that was
and it
it.
was like you
Oh,
and
that's
Aspen
cool.
and I, yeah.
Yeah.
And I remembered, that was
Well, I'm
part
glad
of part of bringing this back was that night.
Oh, that's amazing.
Right?
Wow.
And look, I said I'd give you 3 minutes left. We're coming up to that. Where are we going really quick? Introduce your last song in 15 seconds and take it away. Dillon Currie.
I'm gonna play the title track, "Vines of Time."
All right.
So kind of wraps up the whole record, I think.
Perfectly timed out.
Yeah.
First episode of season 13. Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Thank you, guys. from yourself. You're surrounded by your memories of this town, of these people, of your old scene, of your friends, of your lovers, of your family tree. In that same old dream, the vines of time are holding you. They come up through the cracks beneath our shoes and wrap around the souls of those who never choose to move. The vines of time are holding you alone at the Lyceum of your youth, obsessing over every bad review you choose to listen to. You've been waiting for a chance to repair every mistaken thing you've done, each misstep, each road you've taken has brought you back to the same place that you've always been. In that same old dream, the vines of time are holding you alone at the Lyceum of your youth, obsessing over every bad review that critic in your head believes is true. The vines of time hold like a vice. I've had them wrapped around me all my life. But if I could, I'll give you some advice. You're free to take or leave. Don't let this be the end. 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 Don't let this be